We're on.
Here we are. Hey, so
Introduce yourself.
it's been an interesting. Well, I'm Phil Margot.
Yeah, I'm Malcolm Berman.
Tonight, there's my lion. Well, the lion record is up above the picture of the lion, but and you're Malcolm Berman.
Right.
My very favorite uncle's name was Malcolm.
Malcolm Berman?
Yeah, his name. No, Malcolm. Actually, Malcolm Becker.
Malcolm Becker. Okay.
Yes, he was 8 years older than me, and he was like an older brother to me.
Wait, before we get into the story, before we get into the news, there's a story. Did I ever tell you the story about the person who took my identity?
No.
And became a teacher at the New York City?
No, he took your identity?
I had been in the advertising business. This is in the late 60s.
That's so cool.
I was producing commercials. And there was at that time, there was a depression, almost a depression, and the advertising business sunk down. And I was out of a job. So
What year was that?
I think it's 68, 69.
I was doing commercials in that time.
Around there. I never met you. But anyway.
What did you look for?
So I went looking for a job. And my cousin, who worked for social services, said, why don't you go down there? They're looking for temporary help. And until you get a job, go down, make an app, and I'll tell them you're my cousin. So I go down there, and I'm waiting online for, I'm waiting in the office. I do the app. I'm waiting in the office for about an hour. People are coming and going, an hour and a half. Finally, they call me in. And the woman looks at me and she says, did you go to school with any Malcolm Berman? I said, I mean, I could have, and it could have been Malcolm Berman at CCNY. It's a big school, but I said, I don't know anybody. They said, did you ever go to high school with Malcolm Berman? I said, no, that I know. I never went to high school with another Malcolm Berman.
You'd know that.
Did you ever work at WNEW TV with another Malcolm Berman? I said, what the hell are you talking about? They said, well, you're working here. I said, what? I said, we have a Malcolm Berman working here with your same exact background. Different social security number.
Oh.
So they thought I was complicit, you know, that I gave somebody my ID and they came in to get the job. So I didn't get the job, but about a few weeks later, I got a job back in advertising. So I didn't pay any attention to it.
What company did you work for in advertising?
Daniel and Charles.
Because I did a lot of commercials. I have about 70 or 80 commercials we did during a short period of time for J. Walter Thompson.
J. Walter, yeah, that was one of the biggies.
All the big one. What was the one?
Ted Bates.
Ted Bates. Yeah, I mean, you know, some guys that were like legends in TV. Harry Sosnick, who ran Ted Bates, and who called us in to do commercials with the Teen Lingo. And we did a bunch of commercials. You know, we didn't have Dead before, but we did some really good commercials that ran for.
Well, let me put an end to the story so that we can get back to the news.
Sorry.
About 3 years later, I'm living up in the Upper West Side, and I get I notice in the mail that my parking ticket is, my speeding ticket, I didn't show up, and they're gonna, you know, if I don't show in 2 weeks, they're gonna send police officers. So I call them up. I never got a speeding ticket. Turns out that there was another Malcolm Berman that got a speeding ticket. So he was find out that he was a teacher because I was getting calls from kids saying, "Oh, Mr. Berman, I'm not going to have the assignment." And I'm saying, "I'm sorry, you have remote, Mr. Berman." Finally, the kid calls me up, and I find out what school Mr. Berman is teaching at. It happens to be around my area, on the Upper West Side. So I call up the Board of Education, which I had friends. So they had a Malcolm Berman working there. That same kid that took my ID from social services was working there as Malcolm Berman using my ID.
Wow.
So I go over to the local precinct up on 99th Street and Broadway. And I was dressed like, I had a full beard, long hair, and they said, wear jeans and a fatigue jacket. So I go into the precinct, the guy says, second floor. I didn't say anything to the sergeant. Second floor. I walk up to the second floor, there's a guy coming out, he says, okay, that's room 220. I got a room 220. It turns out they thought I was a narc undercover. I think it was the time of Serpico.
So whatever happened to the?
Oh, this was the same time when there was a lot of thing with the Board of Ed that people were teaching under false pretenses.
Oh,
It turns out they went over to the school, they arrested him. It made all the newspapers. In fact, I still have a cutout there of the story. They arrested him. He was using my ID. I saw him in court about a month later. It turns out that he was divorced, he was gay, and he was running away from his wife with alimony, and he's from New Jersey. But it turns out he lived 3 blocks away from me on the Upper West Side.
oh wow.
And it turns out I had gone to an employment agency when I was looking for a job, and he was the counselor that I spoke to.
Wow.
So he took my resume. Anyway, let's get back to the RNC.
Well, yeah. I looked up something that Franklin Delano Roosevelt did a State of the Union on January 6th, 1941. This was like a year, just almost a year before Pearl Harbor, but things were messy, you know. And within this particular this State of the Union, he brought up the 4 freedoms.
Yeah, became a very famous speech.
Very famous. It was towards the end of the piece. Actually, it was like a 17-page piece, but it must have run an hour or so. It was probably your average State of the Union. And the four freedoms are freedom of speech and expression, which are being violated daily by this administration, by the thugs that he's sending to different places, that whole trick with the Bible standing up in front of the church and having innocent people tear gassed. They had the freedom of speech and freedom of expression that he wants to wipe out. He doesn't want people to be, I mean, look what they did to this guy in Russia. You know, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and we're going to poison your ass. And they did.
Well, that's what this country is coming to.
Yeah, right. All right. That's freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom
of worship.
Freedom of worship, right? That it's the mainstay. And then we have a president who only really cares about, you know, who hates Muslims. Muslims aren't allowed to live. And he's not nuts about Jewish people either. I don't know, and I don't know how he feels about Catholics, but he loves the Christians, you know.
That's what I have to. Is Biden Catholic?
Yeah, Biden is Catholic.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't made any other note of it, because
Kennedy was Catholic, and
there's only one other Catholic president.
Yeah, he was, and he was gonna, and the Republican thing at the time was he was gonna take his orders from the Pope.
From the Pope.
So
well,
now,
I'd rather him take the orders from.
Now the funny part about it is that Trump is taking his orders from Putin.
Right.
By the way, you voters out there, if you vote for Trump, you're voting for Putin for president, because he will be the president. He will be the president. He will do the exact same things he's doing in Russia, including poisoning people. Anyway, and then there's freedom from want, okay, which means that the people who were screwed during this coronavirus, who lost their jobs because the president is a moron and didn't jump in soon enough, and people who, and then they gave people a hand, you know, the money to survive. Now all these people are being abandoned, and the freedom for want is being violated because they want food and be able to pay their rent and not get foreclosed or thrown out of their home, evicted. You know, so that's the third freedom. And the last one is freedom from fear. Every black person has to be afraid of a man in a blue uniform.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I wore one for 3 years in New York. And I had a bunch of comrades who I never got any of those feelings from. Oh, they'd beat down on a suspect. They would. If they knew somebody was doing something, they'd get something from them. But I've never heard the possibility where you can put 7 bullets in a guy's back.
Oh, that's horrendous.
Or the other guy, the other one that they shot 11 times in his back. You know, that's against not only is it against the law, but it's against the cowboy code. Cowboys didn't even shoot the villains in there. You know, in fact, the Lone Ranger didn't shoot anybody to kill. You know, so the four freedoms are still important today, and they hold a great sway over what's happening now. You know, freedom of speech and expression, freedom to worship who you want, freedom from want, which, you know, Social Security and Medicare did a lot. I mean, he referred to it. It's funny how he referred to it. He said about the freedom from want, he said, which is translated into world terms means economic understandings which will secure every nation to a healthy peacetime life for its inhabitants. A healthy peacetime life for its inhabitants. That's what Roosevelt said. That's a quote from Roosevelt. And we have, of course, Medicare and Medicaid, and Trump wants to get rid of it.
Well, what I'm in fear of, I think it was Eric Trump yesterday was talking about one of the things that his dad is going to do is do away with payroll tax.
Yeah, that would
payroll tax is what supported Social Security. If
right.
you pay with payroll tax in 3 years, Social Security is broke.
That's right. It's only good till 2023.
Yeah. So
he gets reelected.
So what do people like me do? I'm on Social Security.
So am I.
I assume you're on Social Security. So what happens when that dries up?
We're screwed. We're screwed. He doesn't care.
And lots of others.
And everybody and everyone out there who's considering voting for Trump and is a senior getting Social Security and Medicare.
Out of their minds.
Don't do it. Don't do it. And don't believe the stuff you're hearing on television. Republicans are leaving him in droves. Republicans are walking away and speaking against him. Why would you even think that he would help you? What has he done to help you? What has he done? He said it's okay to hate black people. That gives you a reason for him to help you.
Well, it's not what he said.
The other.
It's not necessarily what he says. It's what he does.
Well, that's what Rachel always says.
Yeah.
Don't care what they say. First of all, he has a problem because he's lied 20. The Washington Post has discovered that so far he's told 20,000 lies. 20,000 lies.
Well, that was only yesterday.
I don't know when the last count was, but you know, God forbid that Barack Obama wore a brown suit. Remember that?
No, he wore a white suit.
Not white. It was a light brown suit.
It was light brown. I thought it was like
it wasn't a white suit. No. It was a light brown suit.
Light brown.
Yeah, and they went nuts. You know, they went nuts. This guy every day, the things he says that the fact checking. I mean, you can't. Anyway, so yes, and there'll be more of the same tomorrow. And I understand the ratings weren't that good either.
Yeah, but he's doing this.
Who watched that shit?
This is his. It's not a Republican Party. This is the not an RNC, the Republican National Committee. It's the Donald Trump show. Yeah. I mean, he came in and he did this long speech. Did you see that one when he did it in the afternoon?
No, I can't watch him for more than. I can't watch him even in a still shot. I can't watch him. He disgusts me. He disgusts me. His whole being, everything about him disgusts me. His ugly fucking kisser, his expression of he's just a piece of shit.
Did you see what came up? It's Kingsley, what's her name? Guilfoyle.
Oh yeah.
The girlfriend of.
Yeah. She was.
Donald.
What word did I had? I wrote down something. Oh, she protests too much.
Yeah. I thought I was in a prayer meeting. You're going to go to the devil. You're going to go to hell if you do this, if you do that. Have another drink, and the devil is going to take your soul. And the Democrats are
all of them.
Open borders. They're going to have fire in the streets and thieves. They're going to take away the police. She was shouting.
And Biden never said He never said it. He never said take away police. He never said I'm going to defund the police. He never said it.
Well, what's strange is one of the reasons Biden and Harris is a lot of the Democrats, the far left Democrats, thinks he's too middle of the road, that he's not, that he's too mainstream. Again, but according to the Republicans, he is on the far left. He would do away with
It's like me, a
he
little
would
bit.
do away with democracy. It would become a communistic state, a socialist state. I don't think half the people know what socialism is.
I consider myself a little bit to the right of Lenin, not
I
John
used to,
Lennon.
I used to consider
Nikolai
myself to the
Lenin.
left of Mao Zedong.
Yeah, I'm a lefty. I am. I really am. But Joe Biden, first of all, why do you have a board in a company? You have a board because different people have different ideas of how to run it, how to run the company. And somebody may come up with a good idea that may make the difference in the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, he wants one man rule. And the Republicans are like one man rule.
Well,
And that's not the way a government runs. The Democrats are like a family. Yeah, they squabble between them. They have different ideas of how to do things. But all the things that they argue about are things that make everybody's life better. Social Security, the mail, Medicare, Medicaid, climate, dealing with climate change, infrastructure. I mean, I can go on and on. All those things
Phil, but
arguing about the best way to go about are
But
for us.
But I understand Trump, because you have to remember, Trump is a genius. He is probably one of the smartest people in the world, according to him. He knows better about the doctors and the scientists. He knows better than the weather, than the climate, than climatologists. He knows more than the generals. I mean, I understand why he wants it his way and doesn't understand why people don't agree with him.
Well,
They probably feel the same.
Look where his way got us. We're at the Iran Accord. We're at war semi with China. Putin is walking all over him like, I'm waiting to see the picture of him kneeling in front of, Putin.
But Kim Jong-un is in love with him. They have the head of in North Korea. He loves him. Kim Jong-un. He loves him, and they're having an affair.
Yeah, he got us no progress theory. He did nothing. He signed a crime bill because the Congress agreed to it, and Nancy Pelosi actually made it happen. He didn't, and then he signed it because that's unfortunately the president has to sign a bill.
But according to Nikki Haley, we have no more problems with North Korea.
Right, I know.
Did you hear her speech?
Yeah, I know. We have no.
But anyway, there was an interesting article.
They're still building nuclear weapons.
Speaking about there was an interesting article in today's LA Times about the weapons that we're selling to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Did you read that one?
No.
Originally, we were supposed to, I forget, I don't have my glasses. I should have outlined it.
Here's mine, wait.
Give me your glasses. We were selling like billions of dollars of weapons to Saudi Arabia that the Congress then disapproved, but through another an emergency thing got approved again. And all these weapons are supply Saudi Arabia with the bombs that they're bombing Yemen.
Right.
That were killed a few months ago. There was a wedding party that was bombed.
Right. Of
Kids
course.
in a school that was bombed. All these bombs had made it in the USA.
Right, and everything he's done, practically everything he's done, was for his own benefit or was to hurt other people, especially us. I mean, look where this country is now. We are in the soup. If he gets reelected, this country this country will be done.
Well,
the United States of America will be one of those experiments in democracy that failed, and it will be due to Donald J. Trump.
Well, I get the more and more I hear him and the people that support him. We're not a country. We're a major corporation. We're doing everything. We're doing everything for money.
That's the whole problem. What they did.
We're going to get out of NATO because they don't. We got out of Germany because Germany doesn't support NATO as much as we do. We're giving too much money to them. Everything is on a dollar and cents basis.
It's the same BS about the post office.
Post office.
Post office isn't a corporation. It's a government entity. It isn't supposed to make a profit. It's supposed to be run by the government for the citizens. If it's in deficit, tough shit, pay it.
Well, I think one of the things with the deficit, now I forget exactly technically because I'm not a financial person, but it was something that now the post office has to pay
Yes,
pensions
yes.
where they can't lay it off. They have to keep that money there.
Republicans made that happen. But the
Right.
bottom line is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's in deficit. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter because it's something, you know, I mean, does the Army stay in the budget? Does the Navy stay in the budget? Does the Armed Forces? Does the CIA? None of them. Then the budget is a joke. And the post office, 91% of the people of this country approve of the post office. It delivers mail, it delivers medicines, it delivers all kinds of things that people need. It delivers social security checks and delivers ballots. So this is such a ham-handed way of trying to make it harder for people to vote. That's all it is. Why don't people understand that? You know, now the people who drank Trump Kool-Aid will do anything. You know, they'll probably shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue if he tells them to. But I don't think that there's that many of them.
I hope. Well, I hope not. Again, I don't underestimate him or his people because I thought it was a joke that he originally that he started running for president. I never thought he'd get the nomination number one, and after that, I never thought he'd win.
He didn't win.
But he won the nomination.
Yeah, so what? So what? So the Republicans had such geniuses as presidents? Come on. They had Nixon. This was a guy who the Republicans picked. You know, if you go back to the Republicans line of presidents, the only one that was any good at all was Eisenhower, because he built the roads. He built, and he said when he left office, watch out for the military-industrial complex. There'll be a great problem in the future, and they are. Eisenhower, Reagan, overrated, doesn't deserve an airport name for him, shouldn't even have a street name for him. He was a crook. He was a crook. He should have gone to jail. He should have been impeached for that whole Iran-Contra thing.
And he was a mediocre actor.
And now, well, he was okay. I like Death Valley days. No, he did. I like.
He didn't act. He was a host of that, I think.
No, he did act. He
did act in that.
He acted, and he was a host, and he also played roles. Oh, please, I know my.
But anyway,
he was okay. He was an okay actor. He was okay. He was a pretty reasonable president to SAG too. That was when he was a Democrat, and he was when he was
governor of.
California.
Yeah, governor of California and head of the Film Actors Union, wasn't he?
He head of SAG.
Yeah.
And then he went gaga, went Republican and became conservative and weird, you know. And at the end he said, "In my heart, I believed I wasn't committing a crime," but he was.
Well, I must be getting old because I saw the RNC yesterday, and they were describing two different worlds. I mean, they were doing alternate reality.
Yep, well, that's and I think that the people who drank the Kool-Aid believed it. You know.
I just got
in a red dress, that psycho in the red dress, screaming in an empty place. You know about how awful. You know.
Well, so did Eric.
Yeah, Eric
Trump was going how we're gonna go to hell. There's gonna be crime in the streets. It was like they were speaking like where has Trump been for 3 years? You know, like he really hasn't governed. It was like they were coming in as an outsider.
Remember the commercial that the Republicans did? I don't know if it was with Nixon or but the wolves are coming.
Yeah.
They showed the wolves. That's what this is said all over again. The wolves are coming. No, you idiots. The wolves are here right now. We have a pandemic. We have a major depression. We have people. The armed forces don't respect him. Global warming goes on.
He knows better than the generals. You know, like when he pulled out of he let the
Syria.
Yeah.
He pulled out of Syria. He pulled out of Germany. because you know why? Putin told him to. You think he had 8 conversations with Putin and they didn't discuss
Well,
anything?
it's none of our business what he talked to Putin.
They
That's
gave
what
him
he said.
Putin gave him a lesson in what poisons to use. I mean, I think that he's a murderer. I think that he's killed, of the close to 180,000 people who died, 140 or 150 of them shouldn't have died. He should have been on this way before that, and he wasn't. And he's still not on it. And people are still dying because he's not doing anything. No testing, no tracing, you can't get a test.
Well, there was something
no mask
on.
wearing, no mask wearing, no
Well,
distancing.
I don't necessarily blame him I blame him for the pandemic, that he didn't do anything, that he didn't direct anything. But what I blame him for is a total lack of preparation. We were, they say the best offense is, good pizza. It's preparation. When you went on stage, you rehearsed. So when you went on stage,
he disbanded the unit that Obama set up to deal with the Ebola virus. He disbanded it.
Right. There was.
He got rid of it because it was Obama's.
They had one of the representatives who said, "Oh, we didn't know a pandemic is coming," and I forget the.
We knew in January.
I forget the host of it was CNN or MSNBC, and he said, "Well, we had shows before it," and the guy said, "Well, show me where the shows were." So he did back shows starting, I think, like in 2005, with Fauci and the other people saying we have to prepare for. There's going to be a pandemic. It may not happen this year, it may not happen next year, but we're going to have it because the viruses are constantly with us. And they had absolutely no preparation. It caught them flat-footed.
They got rid of it.
And then he said, yeah, they got rid of what Obama gave him a fact sheet of what to do, how to prepare.
He left them with a department that was set up by Biden and Ron Klain. That 2 people died from the Ebola virus in the United States.
But also what they do is they talk about the failed administration of Obama. I took about some facts about him.
That's another thing that pisses me off. He calls it his economy.
Right.
It wasn't his economy. Obama took a wreck that George W. Bush left him with that war and $2 trillion for a useless nonsense war. And Obama took that wreck of an economy and it took him, and then he kept building it and building it. And by the time he left, the economy was back again. All Trump had to do was help support it, and he gives away $1 trillion to the wealthy.
When Obama took over, the unemployment rate was 10%.
Right.
When in 6 years later, it went to 4.7%.
Right.
He also signed,
no help, and the Republican Congress didn't help him either.
Well, McConnell said when the McConnell first day that Obama was in, McConnell said we're going to make him a one-term president.
Right, I know.
And he didn't do anything. And then he signed the Affordable Care Act, which we know is Obamacare, which put additional 20 million people on insurance that didn't have it. He was one of the people very responsible for ending the Iraq War. He ordered the killing of Osama bin Laden. He passed $787 billion American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. I mean, this was a few things. They're like pages when I went over.
And that was without the help of the Congress, because the Congress wouldn't. Because when he passed the Affordable Care Act, he knew that it was not the way it should be. Like any other law, like Social Security, like Medicare. Once you pass a law, that bill, like how a bill is made, all of that stuff. What it doesn't say is afterwards it has to be fixed. They find out that it didn't quite work, and they add to it. Like Social Security only covered a relative few amount of people, whereas now it covers everybody over 65. Yeah. And so Obamacare was passed just to get it on the books, and then Obama wanted to build on it and fix it and make it better. And the Republicans wouldn't do it because they wanted it to fail. They kept calling it a train wreck. But then all of a sudden, people said, you know what? This really is good. I'm getting health care now, and I didn't have it before. And they can't get me for pre-existing conditions or a lifetime cap. Or my 26-year-old kid can, I can up to 26 years old. You know what a lifetime cap is? that you know, that they had a lifetime cap, that if you went through it with the price of medicine, you get to the point where if you live long enough, you can't afford health care anymore?
Well, the thing was, there were certain glitches in it, but he could, without those glitches, he could never have gotten it passed. Because
Yeah, and one of the glitches was the mandate.
yeah,
The Democrats didn't want a mandate. It was the Republicans.
Republicans.
The Republicans wanted the mandate, so the Democrats put it in to get it passed. And now they get yelled at for putting in the mandate.
Right. And then Obama also saved, or was acknowledged, saved the automotive industry.
Oh, sure.
He saved the banking industry, which a lot of the Republicans were against.
And you know what? He's still revered as president. He's still one of the most popular presidents that there ever was, and that nothing will change that Trump does. Trump will be one of the most unpopular presidents in history.
And I think what probably bugs Trump the most is Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, well, and yeah,
well, even Obama was surprised at that. He said, you know, but Trump is looking for that. Everything he wants to do is undo what Obama did.
And he did, and he undid most of it. But the good news is, if Biden wins the election, everything.
We'll redo it.
That's why I think I try to get a hold of the DNC today. You can't get through to them. They should talk to the Postal Workers Union, and they should say to the head of the union, look, you guys go in, do all the overtime, don't worry about getting paid, and after the election, and if Biden wins, he'll cover all of that.
Well, as a matter of fact, on future shows, again, we're just beginning to do our shows. On future shows, we can invite, I don't know, a politician, because we could do a three-way type of thing.
Sure.
We can invite a politician, whoever, and we can have a three-way Zoomcast.
Yep.
I'd love that.
Well, always.
But the other thing,
fun to talk to.
But the other thing that which I wanted to bring out before we end this is that Trump is now creating this, as I say, the Donald J. Trump show. So now he's going to do his acceptance speech in the White House, which is unheard of.
Well, no, it violates the Hatch Act.
Right, and today his wife is going to speak in the White House.
That should be fun.
And then to top it all, Pompeo is going to do his speech from Jerusalem.
Right, because why be here?
It's on tape. But
Trump looks pretty good from 8,000 miles away.
Right. Well, no. Well, the thing is, he has to seem presidential. This is what I do. I'm president. I own this. I wonder, since as I say, the White House is the house of the people. Whether the Democrats could do any shows from there.
I'm looking forward to hopefully that Biden wins the election. Trump refuses to leave the White House. On January 20th, Biden gets sworn in, and the Secret Service goes in and drags Trump out of the White House and puts him in an orange uniform.
No, on January 21st, the entire Trump family will be escorted with a private jet into Moscow and take a
or to Florida, one or the
other.
All right. Anyway,
to take protective sanction there with Putin.
I am. You know what? The reality is, it's really frightening. The reality is that he could win another term, and if he does,
that's what I'm frightened of.
That's the end of this country.
But did just one thing which is amazing. When they talked to the Postmaster General, if you heard it the other day, and first of all, they asked him how much a stamp was.
He doesn't know.
No, ask him how much a postcard was. He doesn't know. He said he didn't order the reduction of overtime or the reduction of or take away the machines, the sorting machines. And then they asked him, well, who did it? He said, I don't know. He said, this happened before I got aboard. But the delay and everything somehow didn't start till he was in office in July.
Liars. I don't know how they're going to fix that, but they got to. They got to fix that.
Anyway, Phil, I just want to let everybody know they're listening to MalcolmDigitalRadio.com.
Yes, and I'm not Malcolm.
And you're not Malcolm, and I am. And we have other shows on there. We have your blogs, your past blogs.
Yes.
We have a show called we have a show called with J. Elaine Marcos, which is hilarious. It's like a 1-minute show, and she speaks. She's a Filipino lady, very bright. She's an actress, and she has a show that she sort of like does a play on words. It's
Oh,
sort of
cool.
like what's the name of that? I'm
Like
forgetting
Sarah
the comedian
Cooper?
does. No, I'm forgetting the comedian that does that. The older comedian that like mispronounces words. But
Oh yeah.
anyway,
Oh yeah. Oh, I know who you mean. From Boston, from
yeah.
Massachusetts. He is. I can't remember his. I
But
know.
anyway, it's all on MalcolmDigitalRadio.com. Plus, I could see we have to, right now we have 2 other shows. Now, I don't know when you want to do the next show. I thought Friday would be a good time after the
I
end of the convention.
don't know. I have to check. I think I don't know what I got. I know I have something to do. I'll look. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Call me because we could do. I'd like to wait till the end of the convention. We can talk about it in the speech.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. We could have a post-convention show.
Right, I need to do a Friday and Saturday. And again, people can email me at malcolmdigitalradio@gmail.com. That's
Yes.
yeah, and
I'll email you there.
yeah, and let us know what you think of the show. If you have some suggestions,
No,
and if you know how to do it, I am trying to see if we could
gotta
do
get a
this.
haircut.
Yeah, either get a
I don't
haircut
really know,
or
but
comb your hair. Well, I buzz my hair because
oh, I don't
when
know.
my hair grows long, it's sort of like it's unruly and it's thin.
I feel like Professor Brown. You know, Emmett Brown. 121 gigawatts. Go big. Great Scott.
Ah,
No.
great Scott.
Anyway, bye everybody.
Okay, bye. Okay, now I got to turn this off. And
You should say after that you got to turn it off.
no, it says end meeting for all. Bye.
Bye bye.
See you next week or later on the week.